Hey everyone, welcome to Sanctuary, the Keeper's Era, brand new card game. This is typically a two-player game, 1v1, in the very likes of like Magic the Gathering is what it's probably most similar to, but where you have a deck of cards, you have to play them on the table, you pay cost to play them on the table, you have various spells you can use, do damage to each other. That's about where that comparison goes. Then it's also sort of more like, I'd say like a game like Duel Masters in the sense is because you have Sanctuaries, which are like little lands that you have that you're trying to protect. So like you have lanes that you're attacking straight forward in. I'll kind of show you when we get there. So this is the Kickstarter box. It's just a big giant full box. Has this really cool. I flip my camera up. Really cool full artwork open box. I don't know how big the box is if you buy it normally. But what it is there is 6 different pre-made decks. And that's one of the sort of the nice things about this, because unlike, again, like trading card games like Magic or Duel Masters or something like that, is there you have to go out. I mean, you can buy pre-built decks, but typically you're going to buy them and create your own. These have asymmetrical decks, all evenly matched, but you're going to do different things. They've also, this is by the company that did this, is Tabula Pulse. So if you like these style of games, you can go to their website. They actually sign up. You can gain rewards if you buy more of their games. They have another game that is just got out of Kickstarter called Volerion Guild, which is a sequel to their first one. So returning backers got extra gifts, which is really cool. We also get this extra sheet here, so you have some additional rules for stuff. So I'm going to go over later, because it's kind of Kickstarter stuff. So I'm going to try and sort out what is regular versus what is Kickstarter. I will not get it 100% correct though. So I'm gonna try. All the decks should all be regular version. So we're going to get. I'm gonna move my camera so we have better lighting. Sorry. And I'm gonna slide this box out of the way. So we're gonna get 6 different guilds or factions. I'm not sure what they're exactly called. So this one is called Wool. And each one is gonna have a symbol. So each deck box is gonna have a champion card, which is sort of like your special character that you use if you're familiar with Magic. It's kind of like your commander. You have 4 Sanctuary cards if you're trying to defend. 25 Acolyte cards and 6 Ritual cards. Your Acolytes are your troops, are your creatures that will attack, and your Rituals are like your spell cards. So here we have, holding a terrible secret behind their dreadful masks, the Wool venerate the essence of decay. I'm going to get that a little bit closer for everybody. And are able to raise undead armies from the fallen warriors who fight like they have nothing to lose. So this is like your black deck. I'm going to keep referencing Magic, so sorry for people who've never played Magic the Gathering. So here's one of the decks. The comes with all wrapped up. They're going to have special symbol keywords that are going to say different things. I'm going to go over them in just a minute. But I'm going to kind of go through each of the little decks first. And then I'm going to list off each deck, and then we'll actually jump in and look at them. So then we have Enquirer, which is Mirages and subtle tricks are the secret of the Enquirer, devoted to the essence of subjugation. Their mind-controlling abilities push enemies to the limits, breaking their ranks and their morals. So this would be sort of like your Magic the Gathering blue decks. And it's not going to be 1-to-1 ratios. I'm just saying that these are what are similar to. So we have Crass, Uh, the Ruthless Crass are burning inside with their devotion to the essence of frenzy. They have a hive mind and don't hesitate to sacrifice their own fellows to increase the brutality of their attacks. So, even though the box is green, this is sort of like a green-black color, because it's, like to sacrifice things. So I noticed this one here, though, has 24 Acolytes and 7 Ritual cards. So it just has a little bit different. And that's kind of like the dark decks. You see they have like dark tops on them. And then we have the Ganto. Solitary and wise, the Ganto worship the essence of growth and possess the ability to shape the environment at their will. They share a deep connection with Sanctuaries and interact directly with their... I'm going to pronounce this word wrong. Assages. And what that is, that's your Sanctuaries are your like areas you're trying to defend. And the other ones are like their defense points, their strengths. So that one's kind of like your green decks in Magic. So we have the Feigning. Alright. Elegant flying fighters, the Feigning are devoted to the essence of grace. Their discipline combined with the high mobility make them extremely hard to target in combat. Now they only have 22 Acolytes and 9 Rituals. So always even amount of cards, but some are a little bit different. So this is kind of, I guess, be like your blue, maybe white deck with flying creatures. And then the final one we have are the Moorland. Strong and savage, the Moorland are devoted to the essence of power. They fight united with impetus and bravery. Nothing can stop them as long as they rely on each other. The 26 Acolytes, the more creatures, less rituals. And this would definitely be your white-red, which, I mean, kind of shows, like, they have their colors sort of on the back to match with Magic the Gathering. But again, they're not 100% one-for-one. And that's going to be kind of like your light-colored decks. So a few other things we want to look at here is we have this tiny-ass little rule book. So, yeah, you can go through. It does a really good job of explaining how the game is played and everything. I don't have any issues there. It's just really small. I'm used to buying games where you have like an instruction manual that's like the size of the box. This is more like if you were buying a deck of trading cards and or a starter deck and you bought this, it would come like in one of these boxes. Which might be the reason why they made it this small, is so, hey, I want to go play with other people I know, I can grab my one deck, I can throw my instruction book in there, which makes sense. I'm definitely not arguing it. The only problem is it makes it really hard for me to show off stuff. They also do have an app that you can go download, which will have more information on like different cards, and like layouts and stuff like that. You can't play the game on the app. It's just more of like an informational thing, but it is kind of nice. So here's like an idea of the play area. So you have your Sanctuaries at the bottom. Your opponent has theirs at the top. There are 4 rows. So there's middle ones are attack rows, and the back ones are defense rows. So the characters in the middle can attack, and the ones in the back are just trying to sit around to defend. And then basically you play the game as you have 3 phases. You have the beginning of the turn phase, the core phase where you do everything, end of the turn phase. And then during the core phase, you can summon creatures or cast your summon your acolytes or your units. You can play your rituals, and then you can attack. And when you attack, when the attack phase starts, you basically just go along from the side to side, meaning if any lane is open, you attack straight down. So this guy would attack straight to that Sanctuary. If he was in the attack row, he was in the defense row. So if I actually flip this the other direction, this is probably a better idea. So these 2 are in defense, so nothing would happen. This guy's in the attack row, so he's going to try and attack straight through. They do show pictures of that too. Stuff like flanking, which I can kind of get into. Trying to see if they had the pictures of the attacking. So like when you attack anything that's straightforward in that lane. So that way, position of where you place your cards really matters. And your creatures are going to die often, so expect them to be sacrificed. But when you do damage to another creature, you do damage to each other. So he does 3 attack to his 1 health. He does 2 damage to his 3 health, so the top one would die, the bottom one wouldn't. Again, it's very similar to like Magic the Gathering, because you deal damage to get at each other, and then whoever lives, lives, whoever dies, dies, and you keep going. So sometimes you're just sacrificing. If they had nothing to block with, then you actually do damage straight to their Sanctuary. And that's the big thing there. There's also a solo mode, which has extra different cards you can play. There's also a solo campaign you can play. So that's actually kind of fun, too. Alright. Next thing we're looking at, I do have another deck of cards here. These are Kickstarter exclusive cards. So I'll make sure I go through those last. That's why they're not in the box. You're going to get a pile of tokens. So you're going to have these little whirlwind tokens. These are your decay tokens for your sanctuary. So every sanctuary has a number of decay spots. Every turn you remove one of them. Once you've removed the last one, then they get to start using their abilities. So as the game starts out, your opponent might choose to target a specific one of your sanctuaries based on what its ability is. Because they might be like, that one has a really good ability, I need to eliminate that one as quick as possible. Because every turn, it counts down to when them abilities activate, and they affect everything on the table. Then you have these little towers. These are your defenses for your sanctuary. So when they get hit, you move this counter down on the sanctuary card to represent how much damage it has left. Once it's destroyed, you remove it. You actually just remove it from the game, so you can't get it back. There are ways to heal it. But unlike your regular units, they don't heal at the end of the turn. And then there's some health tokens to keep track of stuff. And then all the rest of these little tokens, these symbols with pluses. All these different symbols. These are for the solo campaign mode. Just show like someone get pluses and minuses. And there might be other things, other cards that give your different cards these abilities. So that might be what some of them are for as well. So the other tokens I have in here is I have some crystals, and these are used for your counters, for paying for your cards. Every turn you get 2 essence crystals, and then you can use them to spend. There's no maximum amount, so if you decide not to play something some turn, you can build up for a few turns to play more cards. And then for Kickstarter, I actually got some of the towers and some of the decay tokens, and I got some 3D, like, meeple wooden style ones. These, again, are Kickstarter only, or in the big box, but they're just a little bit more visual than the little tiny tokens. The other 2 things I want to show off before I start jumping into the actual cards is, so in the box here, if I take out this tray, the Kickstarter actually has a list of names of all the different, not every person that Kickstarted, I believe it's only people that Kickstarted these boxes. I unfortunately have yet to find my name on here, because they're not in any sort of alphabetical order, or any sort of order that I know of. I might have to go check the Kickstarter to see where it's at, but that's definitely a cool thing. It's like, hey, these are all the people that helped, like, super fund this game, because they bought the extra stuff. So hey, maybe if you see your name in there, congratulations. But that's really cool. I know more and more games are trying to do little things like this, which is really neat, but sometimes when you have thousands of backers, how do you, like, logistically do this? I know one game was supposed to do it in the box, and then they, turned around, and afterwards they realized they couldn't do it, so they put it in like a pamphlet or whatever, and I'm like, that's still acceptable. So the other neat thing about the Kickstarter is why you're wondering why this box is so big, because I have a little secret tray in here which has playmats. So you had the option of if you bought the big box, you got 2 of the playmats. I don't know which 2 it was. Then you could actually purchase the other 2 if you wanted, so you had all 4 playmats, which is really neat. So I'm going to pull one of these out and show you what they look like. Actually, I'll pull all 4 of them out, but we'll look at one right away. These might be available later on. I'm not sure if these were Kickstarter exclusive or not. But they're definitely cool, and I think they're going to make the game more fun. Because other than just being general blank playmats, they have some really cool pictures on it. So there's like a ghosty looking knight versus like a snake. So it's like 2 different groups fighting against each other. But then you can kind of see very lightly is they have the different zones. So like it's really hard to tell, but you can kind of see it right there, and there's like a cross. So it's your top and your bottom zone for your attacking defense. There's spots on the side, but they're not enough to detract from the cool artwork. Some games, they make the play area like it's fighting with the artwork, which I don't like. There's a like discard area on the top. But then the other thing is for the Sanctuaries at the bottom, they have a spot for your defense and your Decay Tokens, which is really neat. So you can actually put them big meeples you have on the board that way, versus you know, having to put them on the cards, which is also kind of neat. Especially because they're bigger, they stand out more. So let's take a quick look at those, and then we will hop into the cards. So here we have, looks like all the different person from each different group standing by this giant hole. So each one has their own Acolyte, which has their own special ability. And I'm not doing a very good job of rolling these back up to fit back in the box. That's alright, I'll fix them later. Just want to go backwards. There we got Cat Warrior. And just some green. Nothing extra special. So they're not all like 2 groups fighting against each other. Although that would have been really neat. I don't know why I've been getting into playmats lately for games. I just like especially when they have spots on them for the cards and stuff, because I play with a lot of people that aren't they're casual gamers, I guess. So having a thing where I can actually show it off. Oh, this one's actually kind of neat because it doesn't have artwork on that corner for once. Should show some of the different symbols a little bit better. Oh, this is the big green glowing guy. So these are definitely cool. Do you need them to play? No. But they're neat to have. Yeah, I think I bought a bunch I got some for this game. I got some for Unstable Unicorn, or the Unstable games Here to Slay, because there's like one for each character, which I thought was really cool. So it's like, oh, if I'm going to play this game, like, right, I'm going to have little different playmat for each player. So it's their personal playmat, which I thought was really neat. Alright, sorry for the little pause there. I had to roll up my mats, and they were being, they weren't agreeing with how I was trying to roll them up quick. And I looked up the word for the little defense towers, which I kept pronouncing like Aegis or Aegis. It's pronounced Aegis. The A is actually silent. I didn't know that, so I learned something new today. That's the A-E-G-I-S, where it's Aegis. Because I've always seen that like on video games like Armor. And I always thought it was like Aegis. And I'm like, you know, alright. It's not something you usually heard someone pronounce, so. And now I'm fighting to open this. Alright, so we're going to start looking at these cards. So we have, and I haven't looked at any of these before, So we're doing this together. So we have the Moorland. Alright. So, what am I looking for? This one, I believe. Alright, well here, we got one of these cards quick. I want to look at that. So we have a turn structure card. So beginning of each turn, you gain 2 of your energy, little crystals. Resolve all at the beginning of turn effects. Step 2, you get a summon. Resolve all abilities and effects related to this phase. In the summoning phase, you may summon units and cast rituals in any order. The attack phase. Resolve all abilities and effects related to this phase. In the attack phase, your units attack in a position starting... start with the offense towards... Units in attack position start the offense towards the enemy's sanctuaries. And then step 4 is end of turn. All partial damage is reset, so you can't do 2 damage and leave it on there. You have to do all their damage. You have 3 hit points, you have to do 3 or more damage. All your units become active. Rotate vertically all exhausted units. So that's something that's a little bit different than like Magic the Gathering. Is that at the beginning of your turn you activate all your units. Or untap them. This one, when they come into play, they come tapped or exhausted, and at the end of your turn, you get them ready, so then they can defend at the end of during the next round. All your Sanctuaries decrease their decay by 1. Resolve all end of turn abilities in any order. Choose and discard any number of cards. Draw from your deck until you reach the hand size. 4 by default could be different. So that's what's also kind of neat about this game, is you only have a hand size of 4 cards. But if you do something that's ever going to reduce your hand, or you play too many cards, it kind of gives you the advantage to play as many cards as you can, because you can play all 4 cards. Great. You only play 1, not really that good. So you might want to save up. But still, if you don't like what you have, because like, oh, I have 1 energy, I'm only gaining 2, this card's worth 5, I don't want to wait up for it, just discard it, draw a new card. And it's always one thing in these games where people don't remember that thing. If you have options to discard to refill your hand, utilize it. It's always important. I play Disney Villainous, and people tend to not do that. They don't ever discard when they can, and then they just sit there on crap hands. Alright, so we have some like attributes. These are symbols you'll be on the card. We have Zealous. This Acolyte is deployed active, not exhausted, onto the battlefield. So this is like similar to like Haste in Magic. We have Fierce. This Acolyte can only be played in the attack position. And so that way you have some that can only attack, they can't defend at all. Veil. This Acolyte cannot be the target of enemy rituals or abilities. Reaper. If this Acolyte damages another unit by any means, that unit is automatically destroyed. It's like your Death Touch. Ongoing. The ability to resolve at any time its requirements are met. Follow the cards. I spelled that wrong. The cards. Abilities description for detail. Some cards instead provide passive ongoing bonus which have no requirement. So some cards might have literally like, they come into play, they'll do an ability, which is Genesis here. The ability is resolved the moment the student is deployed. Follow the card's ability. So some cards will have a Genesis. So as soon as they're played, they activate. Other ones are going to have ongoing, which will wait for a specific thing to happen. Or they might have last word. The ability resolves the moment the student is destroyed. So that could be something where you might forcefully throw it into battle, even if it's going to lose, just so you can get it destroyed. Or it might be good for a defense card. Alright, so we're going to look at our Force of the Moorland Champion. So we have champions, which are, they stay off to the side, and you can summon them when you want to, but if they get defeated, they're removed from the game. You can't play them. If they get removed any other reason, like put back in your hand or put back in your deck, something like that, then they go back to their special champion zone, and you can play them again, but they're ideally stronger. So, like, as a comparison, we have the Resolute Shaman Acolyte. So their sets, or their faction symbols up here. So he has 5 health versus 2, so Nomar's going to survive longer. He also does 4 damage, but he costs 3 versus costing 2 and doing 2 damage. Does not have a special ability, but he comes in ready to attack, can only attack, and he can't be the target of spells or abilities. So, like, they have to physically run up and punch him. So there's one of the little differences there. On the back side, they have echoes. The Echo of Nomar. This is for one of the other special rules you can play him as. It says Acolytes on your side of the field gain +1, and it's an ongoing ability. Little reminder here says, champions are viewed with the true power of Irith, and their death leaves a lasting mark on the land when keepers are fighting each other. Echo powers are available on the backside of champions. These powers are not active by default, so a match play using Echo powers follows the same rules as core mode until a champion is destroyed. If a champion is destroyed during the game, it goes back to the area outside the battlefield, turned face down. Now the Echo powers on its back, visible to everyone, becomes active, lasts for the match, and they cannot be turned off by any means. So there's kind of a neat bonus if your champion does die. Now obviously now all your acolytes are going to gain 1 extra attack. So it's kind of a neat little bonus there. Alright. Then we have the Resolute Shaman, which we looked at, who has, when he comes into play, units gain Reaper till the end of turn. So that's kind of neat. They gain a little extra death touch. And he's got 2 of those. We're going to gain 2 of the Mocking Hunter Acolyte. 1 cost, 1 attack, 3 health, has Reaper. So the other little thing is down here in the corner, they have different numbers. Down here is like their set symbol, so this is set like card number 149. So I'm guessing it's one before. It's probably 140. So 149, 48, 47, 46, 45. That's your set number. Or your card, you know, to keep track of. The other number in the bottom corner, which your Acolyte doesn't, or your Champion doesn't have, these are for a deck building option. So if you want to, like, mix and match cards from different sets, factions, you can. We have special deck building options, which is also listed on this special sheet, which I kind of go back to. Each card has its own value, indicating the bottom left of each card. Can build their own deck by spending a certain amount of points pre-game. Points should be spent to form a deck with exactly 28 Acolyte rituals. Then each player must select 1 champion and 4 sanctuaries. Cannot have 2 cards with the same name. They're even a variant which each player will draft in order to speed up the deck building process. So it kind of depends on if you're playing 1v1, you get 1,400 points. Or if you're playing 2v2, you have a total of 28. Each, you know, there's different options. That's another thing, you know, play 1v1 or 2v2. Something, you know, Magic does as well. Yeah, that's what that little number means, just in case you're wondering. I'm not going to read all those out. We have Shadow of the Valley Acolyte. You kind of see what the symbols are. I'm not going to read all the text on all those. 2 copies of Cunning Instructor. Doesn't even cost anything. Units on its flanks gain 1 attack till the end of your turn. So you basically play them for free, and then your flank is either card immediately to their left or right. So it's a quick, like, boost effect. We have Pilgrim of the Gorge. Units gain 1 attack if placed in the attack position, or +1 health if placed in defense position. So that's kind of neat, getting some extra bonuses depending on where you're playing and where you need him. Peak Chieftain. You get to activate a unit, so you can attack with something, and then, or if it's you played one, you can play him right after it to go ahead and activate him, so you can use him to attack that turn. Horde of the Gang. Gain 1 crystal for each other Moorland unit on your side. Hammering Brotherhood. Gain 2 attack for each unit on its flanks. So he's normally weak, but if you play him with a bunch of other people, he'll get really strong. Roar of the Peaks. Deal 1 damage to each unit on this lane. Enemies with, like the reflect ability. I already forgot what it's called. Vex. Oh, Veil. Enemy of the Veil. Way to read. Also take damage. That's actually kind of neat. So it does an immediate one. That's a weird symbol. Is that like a poison symbol? This is what happens when we go through stuff together, is that I gotta look up some of this stuff. As I don't remember seeing that symbol in the book. Attributes, game setting, turn structure. Yeah, I don't see that one, so I guess it's just a point of damage. I'll have to maybe look that up, because I'm not for sure what that one is. Alright, anywho, then we'll just keep going on then. It looks kind of like a poison symbol almost, but I don't know anything about poison in this game. Alright, but I still need extra damage. Alright, let's set these guys off to the side. 2 copies of Elusive Scrapper. Gain 1 crystal. And we just got a pretty generic guy, Savage Fang. Just 2 attack, 2 health. Whisper of the Peaks. Units on its plane gain 1 health till the end of turn. You can see how these guys like to gang up with each other. So that's all our Acolytes. Now let's look at our rituals. We got 2 copies of Call of the Horn. One of your units gains plus X health until the end of turn, where X is equal to the number of Moorland units on your side. So the later you play this, the stronger it is. 2 copies of Peak Resistance. One of your unit deals damage equal to its attack to an enemy unit. Common attributes may apply. I'm not sure what common attributes means either. Interesting. Some interesting things I'll have to look up. Alright, so then we have our Sanctuaries. So this one has 4 and 1 decay, so this will activate fairly quickly. The Carring of the Brave. At the beginning of your attack phase, choose one of your units. If it is destroyed during the attack phase, gain 2 crystals. This is a little bit stronger, the Towering Arena. At the beginning of your attack phase, you may search your deck for a unit card. If you do, reveal it, add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. And a unit is in reference to an Acolyte or a Champion. They just call all the things you play as units. Garnath the First Stone, or Garunath First Stone. At the beginning of your attack phase, you may choose a unit on the battlefield. If you do, double the damage dealt to that unit this turn. And finally, Branch of the Clans. Your units in this lane have the Veil ability, so they can't be targeted. And then we have backsides of these. Oh, this is for if you're probably playing the if you don't want the different symbols on there. So if you don't want the countdown, if you're playing on with your playmat, then you can just play them and it just shows the numbers. Because then you're using the things on the top and bottom. That's kind of neat. I didn't even... Kind of unnecessary, but still neat. So I wanted to show the back of the cards quick as well. So there's the back of these. So actually they keep different backs, I'm guessing. Yep, so each one's going to have their own back. Which would make, if you're mixing cards together, makes it a little bit harder to sort them out. Alright, I went and downloaded the app really quick because I was curious about them the little symbols that looked like poison and what a calming attribute was. The calming attributes are the first 4 here. They're the ones that are basically how you play the card, whether it's deployed active, attack, it can't be, the Veiling Reaper, the 4 there, and the other 3 are called special. So that's the difference between that, so it references that. And then the little symbol looks like poison, just means damage, versus the other way it's attack. So that's the differences there. And as long as I have the app open, I'm just going to quickly go through this. I'm not going to scroll through all the cards, but this is what you can do. Is you can jump in here, you can look at it, you can switch between all your different factions. And I switched to the game setup. But yeah, you can go to your different factions here for whoever you want. Different symbols if you want different type of card. Pluses, cost, type it in. Or type in a card code if you want to look for a specific one. And then if you click on them, they'll read you off more of what the text does in like more basic English. I'm going to guess that maybe at some point they might do sort of like the Magic the Gathering's Gatherer feature online, is they'll put like information if they have more information about the text or they need to like errata it or something. So down here at the bottom you have some other options. You can do game setup. So if you're setting up a normal mode, it shows you how to set up your deck, your things. So I was like specifying what all these were. And if I tap on 5, it'll tell me what that is. It's my deck area. Number 6, that's my discard pile. Number 3, Sanctuaries. I mean, not super difficult, but it's kind of neat. Just so you can pop in there and set up. Or if you want to flip over to solo mode, it's going to show you how to set up you versus like the AI computer, which is also kind of neat. And there's different cards for that. Down here you have the rule books, which you can click into, different languages. If you click in, it just opens up a Google app, but this is actually a much better instructions to go through. So I'm like, if you're going to play this game and you have access to get the app, I would probably just recommend getting this. It's going to show all the deck lists, which it does in the other book as well. But yeah, it breaks down a card. I mean, lots of the stuff is the same. This is just easier to look at, easier to see. Breaks down all your modes. So I'm not going to go through all of this. Done. We'll back out. We have extras, which has some lore and some artwork. We can click on lore and read about some of the different characters or cards. If it's working. I think when the app first launched, yeah. So when it first launched, they didn't have any of this. There's some different stuff there. And then the last thing is you have decks, which is coming soon. They haven't finished editing that. Oh, that's sound. Oh, but yeah, so that's the app quick. Just the Sanctuary app. So yeah, if you're going to play the game, or if you want to get familiar with how to play the game, I would recommend going out and grabbing that. Alright, so now we're going to open up another deck. We're going to look at Thing. Oh yeah, it's a free app to download too. It's not like it was something I had to get special for purchasing the game. So yeah, if you're interested and you want know a little bit more, definitely check that out. Plus, if you're trying to do rules, especially if you're trying to play with multiple people, it's probably easier to just pull out the app and set it up somewhere and look at it versus passing around that tiny little book. Alright, so now we have Bryle, the champion, or the tactician of Thane. So she only costs 1, where our other guy, he costs 4, so you can kind of see some difference. On your turn, the first time you move a unit, you may deal 1 damage to a Sanctuary. So this one likes your flying creatures. They like to move around a bunch. Her Echo ability, the Echo of Brow. When you move a unit for the first time during your turn, draw a card. Our Acolytes, we're going to get 2 young unfledged. This is like a snake? Lizard? Lizard, kind of neat. Gains 2 attack for each unit on its flanks. The 2 copies of the unfledged Elite. I think there's 2 copies of every Acolyte. So when it dies, you get to draw a card. 2 copies of Prismatic Serpent, move an enemy unit. So like the other, so the Moorland were all about having guys next to each other. They like ganging up, they gain a little boost for guys next to you. That's a lot of the stuff they did. This looks like it's a lot of moving guys around. Here you can give out the Wings of Brawl. At the end of your summoning phase, you may move this Acolyte to any position. 2 copies of Storm Precursors. Just a bunch of abilities. But again, they're probably lacking in strength, maybe. So 2 copies of the Feather Initiate. Play, you can move a unit. So neat. They're like dragon, or like lizards with wings. They're kind of dragony, but they have like angel wings. And like feather legs. They're kind of interesting creatures. The Silver Raptor. You only need 1 attack if you can kill anything that touches you. 2 copies of Cloud Terror. May deal 1 damage to a Sanctuary when it dies. And 2 copies of Juggernaut of the Cliff. Look at that guy. He's pretty massive. 2 copies of Raptor Tactician. Move 1 of your units. It's the 3rd card that lets you move some stuff around. 2 copies of Paladin of Cornahane. At the end of your turn, your summoning phase, you may move this unit to any position. So it's our Acolytes. Now we're going to get into some rituals. We have 2 copies of Surefire Strike, destroying Acolyte, or straight up destroying. So we didn't have any of those in the last one. They did damage. You know, it's straight up destroying. 2 copies of Celebrate the Heroes, gain 2 crystals. 2 copies of Incomparable Tactics, move 1 of your Acolytes. And moving guys around makes sense, because that way you can like avoid big creatures or move your guys into for defense. You have to play the board a little bit more. Our Sanctuaries are Cornahane, the Floating City. Your hand limit is 5. That's cool, getting an extra card. Takes 4 turns to get there, though. Shivering Tower. At the end of your summoning phase, you may deal 2 damage to a unit. Well, that'll activate pretty quick. Feather Cliffs. After any of your summoning phase, you may move 1 of your units to any position. And the Wellspring of Braille. At the end of your summoning phase, you put top card of your discard pile on the bottom of your deck. Recycle your deck quicker. So what happens, and why that's kind of important, is because if your deck runs out of cards, you have to destroy 1 of your Sanctuaries. So, now I know earlier I said, oh, always make sure you draw cards. It's dumb not to draw cards. Discard and draw. There's sort of the downside to it, because if you cycle through your deck too fast, you have to destroy your own bases. And it's not like destroy 1 of your defenses and then you go. So now we're going to look at Ganto. And these are separated between like the light and the dark decks. It's Land of Dusk and Land of Dawn. Especially like the warring groups. So now we have extra cards in here. I'm going to set them aside. We have Inasha Tech, Mender of the Ganto. He has no attack, but he has 4 health. Once per turn, you may either deal 1 damage to a Sanctuary or repair 1 Sanctuary. So that's cool. A little bit of options. Echo of Nomar. Whenever one of your Sanctuaries is destroyed, you may drop to 2 cards. Our Acolytes, we have the Visionary Reclaimer. And unless I specify otherwise, I'm just going to assume there's 2 of every card. So I have to keep saying that. At the end of your turn, if a ritual or an ability has dealt damage to one of your Sanctuaries, gain 1 crystal. So these guys look like they like to protect their Sanctuaries. Son of the Flood. And hefty defense and attack. He's like merfolk. I thought they were going to be like forest creatures. Dodged Infiltrator. You may deal 1 damage to a Sanctuary and 1 damage to one of your Sanctuaries when he dies. So that could be a very useful ability if played right. Plus, if you play it, your Sanctuary might lose anyhow. Take it out yourself and you get to draw your 2 cards if you have your Echo. Master of Symmetry. Deal 1 damage to a Sanctuary and repair up to 1 Sanctuary, another of your Sanctuaries. You guys like to just go straight for the Sanctuaries. Foresighted Guardian. You may deal 2 damage to one of your Sanctuaries. If you do, return a unit on the battlefield to its controller's hand. That's kind of good and bad. So I haven't, again, seen too many guys that cost too much. Maybe returning one of their champions, maybe, because some of like that first one cost 4. Expert of Restoration. You may repair up to 2 shields on one of your Sanctuaries. Grand Architect. Deal 2 damage to a unit. The Foresighted Elder. You may deal 2 damage to one of your Sanctuaries. If you do, drop to 2 cards. Squigfella. Hermit Landscaper. Repair up to 1 shield on each of your Sanctuaries when he dies. Ooh, that's nice. A Root Eater. Good health, good defensor. And our last Acolyte is Impartial Bouncers. When he dies, actually when he comes into play and when he dies, deal 1 damage to each of your Sanctuaries. So he has lots of health and damage, but you're going to take a lot of damage for him. That guy's kind of risky to play. I mean, it might be... The only reason I can see playing that, why that might be useful, is for cards like this. Because they say, repair up to 2 shields to one of your Sanctuaries and draw a card. So you could drop that down, deal damage to other stuff, but if you have a couple of cards like this, Restoring Lymph, and some of the other ones that let you repair to draw cards, or do something, or you're going to repair anyhow, you can't repair if it's at full, so it's a good way to take advantage of those. We have Break the Seal. Deal 1 damage to each of your Sanctuaries, then deal 2 damage to a Sanctuary. Tides of Retribution. Deal 3 damage to an Acolyte. Then we have the Sanctuaries, which are Sentient Rocks. At the end of your turn, if the Sanctuary's defense is not at 6, gain 1 energy. Well, there we go. There's a reason to damage them. Hall of the Foresighted. At the end of your turn, you may deal 1 damage to a Sanctuary. Heart of the Swamp. At the end of your turn, you may repair up to 1 damage to one of your Sanctuaries. So again, hurt it, get 2 cards. Then turn around and heal it. Or Pool of Omniscience. At the end of your turn, if a Sanctuary is not at 6, draw a card. So that's actually cool. There's actually Sanctuaries work well with why you would want to damage your own cards. So that's definitely neat. And that was Janko. So 2 of these decks come with some extra cards. So they're going to be cards for the solo mode. So I'm just going to set them aside and we'll look at those at the end. Because I don't want to get them all confused with everything else. I think it's supposed to be maybe like good and bad solo cards. I'm not sure. Where does that one go? Alright. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at Wool. See what they do. Done. Sunset of the Wool. Here's our champion. 3 health, 1 attack. Ongoing in death. Ooh. Reaper. So at the end of your turn, if at least 3 acolytes were put into your discard pile from anywhere during this turn, you may deal 1 damage to a Sanctuary. Ooh, so they're going to sacrifice each other, it looks like. Oh, and we got his Echo, which is going to be Echo of Nomar. At the end of your turn, you may return 1 acolyte from your discard pile to your hand. Oh, so that works really well. You sacrifice a bunch, then if he dies, you flip him over. You end up putting a bunch of them on there. Alright, so we have Ice Enquirer. Draw a card, then discard a card. I'm gonna say, it looks like his artworks went together at first. That'd be really cool. Tamer of the Masks. Discard a card, then gain 1 crystal. So that's discarding. And it says it can be anywhere, so it doesn't mean that could be necessarily defeated. You can sacrifice them by discarding them. Seeker of the Collectors. Search your deck for a unit card and put it into your discard pile. Then shuffle your deck. Inexorable Recruiter. Return a unit card from your discard pile to your hand. So there's what you can do with all the ones you've done. Get a free card out of it. Collector's Mentor. When he dies, you gain 1. Legion of Alithman. You may pay 2. If you do, deploy a unit from your discard pile. Nice. It's an interesting strategy. Glacial Warlord. Activate this unit. Activate units on this flank. Ooh, so you play them, you get to use their abilities. Nice. The Ravenous Horde. Each other unit on this lane takes damage equal to the number of units in your discard pile. Enemy units with Veil also take damage. Oh boy, so they could come in and do some massive damage and wipe out some things very easily. The Breeze of the Gun. Straightforward, simple one. Not a lot. He's going to die quick, but he's going to take someone with him. The Cursed Enforcer. Quick, easy to get out. And our last Acolyte is Killing Freak. No attack, 3 health. Gain 1 attack for each unit in your discard pile. Oh, so he can become powerful later on. So I think these are like red cards. You're thinking like, oh, they're kind of red on. So they're like, oh, up here, magic again. Like, oh, red damage. But then they're kind of like using death and stuff. So you're thinking like necromancer. And they're actually like blue. They're like frost. Which is interesting, like frost type creatures. So you have Last Breath, discard an Acolyte card, then destroy an Acolyte card. Elixir of Callback, discard an Acolyte card, then deploy a different Acolyte from the discard pile to the battlefield at no cost. And cycling around there. And Verdict of the Ice. Drop to 3 cards, then discard 2 from your hand. Yeah, tons of ways to cycle guys into your discard pile, and then use that Echo ability when your champion dies to just keep playing them all. So our Sanctuaries are Muttering Ice Canyons. At the beginning of your turn, each player discards a card. Another way to get one in there. With 1 decay, that'll activate quick. Dizzying Bridges of Alithman. At the beginning of your turn, you may reveal the top card of your deck, then put it into your discard pile. If that card's an Acolyte, gain 1 energy. Twilight Caves. At the beginning of your turn, you may discard... Sorry, you may deploy an Acolyte from your discard pile onto a lane different than this one, at no cost. Oh boy, I'm just going to take 4 turns to get there, but dang. It's time to build them up. And Vault of the Collectors. At the beginning of your turn, you may discard an Acolyte card from your hand and deal 1 damage to a Sanctuary. Nice. You got the red backs. I haven't been showing off the backs of all of them. Yeah, those are cool. I like the different strategies so far, like teaming up or discarding stuff, or like the green one did damage to their own thing. So here we have Enquirer. Also makes this definitely interesting way what could happen is because since you have 4 Sanctuaries and they're based on lanes, I mean, it's going to be a little bit different setup depending on which lanes you put stuff as well. Especially with guys like that might have, either if you're playing against the guys that have flanking or might have flanking, or against guys that have flanking. Because if, like, you're playing the Moorland, they have all its flanking abilities. So having lanes that you want to protect, like, higher, maybe like your ones that have less defense, maybe have them towards the middle or next to each other. Have your higher strength ones on the outsides, or vice versa. You know, if you're playing against somebody that has it, and you're like, oh crap, that's what they're going to have there. So it's kind of interesting. Here you have Vitep, the Judge of Antar. 1 cost, 1 attack, 3 health. Also has Reaper here. At the end of your turn, exhaust a unit. Could be anybody. So they can't be used the next turn. Echoes of Vitep. At the end of your turn, if at least 1 enemy unit is exhausted, you may draw a card. There's maybe a reason to exhaust yours then. So you have Sisterhood Novice. Exhaust a unit. So again, you'd think exhaust your opponent's stuff so they can't use it during their turn because they unexhaust or they activate at the end of their turn. So at the end of your turn, you exhaust some of your opponent's stuff. Maybe they can't block or whatever, or they can't at least use them during their turn. But that happens when she dies, so that's interesting. Gifted Blade Dancer. If there's at least 2 exhausted units on the battlefield, this unit gains 2 attack. So kind of like odd monks, like spacey monks. Fervent Speaker. Activate a unit. You exhaust one and then activate them, then exhaust them and activate them. Untangled Spell Sword. Pretty straightforward. The Inscrutable Queens. Draw a card for each exhausted enemy unit in this lane. So there's a good reason to exhaust your own stuff. Especially because at the end of your turn they activate, so you might just exhaust stuff, play that to get it, or, you know, different things, different strategy points. Ruthless Trader, gain 2 energy if at least 1 enemy unit is exhausted. Guardian of the Relics, gain 1 energy for each enemy exhausted unit on the battlefield. Mind Poisoner. When he dies or comes into play, both, exhaust a unit. Lots of health, sticks around for a while. Sisterhood Matriarch. Exhaust each other unit on this lane. Enemies with the Veil are exhausted also. I think it's because, and they list it like that just as a reminder, because the Veil usually ignores targeted abilities, so you can't, like, pick someone and be like, I picked that guy, but when they're hitting, like, AoE, an area of effect, then it hits everybody regardless. The Veil is ignored. That's how magic works with, like, Shroud, or whatever the other one is, because they changed it. But it's basically they can't be targeted. You can't directly specify that one card, but if you attack everything, then you'll still hit it. A Swift Striker just comes in there, does some damage, kills things in his way. The Hand of Atep. At the end of your turn, you may deal 1 damage to a Sanctuary. Nice. I mean, it's going to die probably pretty quick because it has 1 defense, but it also doesn't cost anything. You can keep it alive for 1 turn, which, hey, there's something in front of it. Exhaust that guy, then he can't hurt you. You know, and then you can keep doing damage with that. So our rituals are Touch of the Gifted, activate a unit. Or Overwhelm, exhaust a unit. Or Revenge of the Sisterhood. Deal X damage to a unit where X is equal to the number of exhausted units on the battlefield. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting strategy. I could see the deck building in this game being really fun for this reason too, because you could mix these different styles together. Palace of the Truth. At the end of your turn, you may exhaust an enemy unit in attack position on a lane different from this one. Relic of the Sky. At the end of your turn, you may destroy an enemy Acolyte on a lane different from this one. I can see why that one has high decay but low shields. Portal of Savalar. At the end of your turn, you may return 1 of your units from the battlefield to your hand. Ooh, then you can use its effect again. That's going to hit fairly quick. And then Garden of the Five. Your units in this lane gain 1 attack. Alright, yeah, that's definitely an interesting strategy, with all the exhausting and unexhausting. Kind of, you know, like the blue ones, which are all about moving guys around. The wool were all about sacrificing guys. Ganto is all about messing with defense. Here we have Cross. They were defense, messing with doing damage to your own sanctuaries for the sake of later effects. And the Moorland were kind of all about attacks. Now we have Crass, which is the last one. It's kind of looks like a poison. So let's see what we got, if I can get this open. There we go. Yeah, this is a game where it'd be really interesting to see if they come out with more expansions. I mean, they did for their last game, so hopefully they come out with some more. Feus. Scarred of the Cross champion. 2 cost, 0 attack, 5 health, but when he dies, you make a point Acolyte from your hand. Interesting. His Echo ability is, at the end of your turn, this card did not become an Echo this turn. You may flip it to its champion side. Ooh, so he's got a self-resurrect. That's kind of cool. I was like, why does he have a die ability? That kind of, it's kind of neat, just a free card, but that makes sense now. So you can throw him out there, let him get hurt, he dies. Next, you know, like the next turn, you can flip him back over, basically get free summons out of him. Alright, so interesting way to see what's going to happen with these guys then. Apprentice of the Flow. Resolve the the Reaper attribute. Nope, the Death attribute. What's it called? I probably threw all them back in there. Last Word. What it's called. The Last Word attribute on a unit on the battlefield. Interesting, so you get to play at the death aspect when they're not dead. Merciless Chieftain. Destroying Acolyte. Corruption Catalyzer, destroy 1 of your units, so you can activate them effects. The Swarm Recruiter, draw a card. All these guys have like either coming to play or exiting play abilities. Preceptor of the Fury, resolve the Last Word attribute on 1 of the units on the battlefield. Oblivious Record, deal 2 damage to a unit. Anthem of the Feus, destroy 1 of your units. Blistering Rider, when it dies, and it can kill stuff when it attacks too, so people are going to want to try and take it out. You may deal 1 damage to a Sanctuary. Imagine you keep using that one over and over because they're afraid to attack it. Ravenous Wanderer. The only guy that doesn't have... One of the only guys that doesn't have one of those abilities. Nice. An Outburst Runner. Doesn't have them either, but he has Reaper. Prodigy of the Feus. When he dies, draw the first card in your discard pile, except for if it's named Prodigy of Feus. Nice. I like this site. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like back and forth, dying, resurrecting, using abilities ahead of time. That's really cool. So our rituals are Metum Psychosis, destroying Acolyte. Its controller may search their deck for an Acolyte card, reveal it, add it to their hand, and then shuffle their deck. Ooh, so that's cool, because I like that it's destroy one of your opponents if you have to. That's something powerful or something that I don't want to deal with. Just get rid of it. Yeah, they'll get to replace something, but at least your big cards are, or destroy one of your own to activate one of your effects. Feus Donation. Destroy one of your acolytes, then gain 1 energy or draw up to 2 cards. And our last ritual is Raging Bonds. Destroy one of your acolytes in order to destroy an acolyte. Double dealing, nice. So you see our Sanctuaries do. Steaming Caves. Your hand limit is 5. I'm glad that that's not like the Sanctuaries. They're not like everyone has an ability that says, "Oh, your hand limit's 5," or this does that. Like they're all fairly different. Source of the Flow. At the end of your turn, gain 1 energy. Colony Gates. At the end of your turn, you may return the first Acolyte card from your discard pile to your hand. And Deeps of Dunasia. I'm not sure. When your units are destroyed, resolve their last word abilities twice. Nice. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, because I could have just made everyone had 1 Sanctuary that gave them an extra hand size, or they all had 1 Sanctuary that, you know, let it heal itself or draw extra cards or something. So I'm glad that they didn't do that. It definitely makes the game more interesting. Alright, now we're going to look at the other cards that came with it. These are the Corruptors. So these are guys that you're going to fight if you're playing solo mode. So you're going to have Corruptors and Constructs. So basically there's 2 different decks. So you can fight against Veldris, the Forgotten King. So they'll always have Veil, so you can't target them directly to attack them. That's why they can have lower attack. But then they'll have tokens for Reaper, Zealous, and Fear. And then they get 1 extra attack. But then as you do stuff, you can remove the tokens, but you can't ever remove the Veil. So it's kind of like you can get rid of stuff, so it makes them a little bit weaker. Then we're going to get... I don't think there's anything different on the back. Nope. And then Constructs are like their acolytes, essentially. So we have Yzern, the Roaming Glacier, who's going to get like an extra health point. You have to knock off kind of like armor. And then we have 2 copies of that. And we get 2 copies of Eagly, the Eternal Watcher. We get some more attribute cards. Then our other Corruptor is we have Mantoria of the Depths. There's the same stats. Cortec, the Night Dweller, so there's a lot more attack, but he doesn't gain any other bonuses. And Abalin, the Howling Seeker, who has 3 extra health icons. And we got 4 of the turn sequence / attribute cards, which we've seen already. Yeah, so those are the Corruptors as used for solo mode. So they just stuck them in the extra decks, which was like 1 for light, 1 for dark. So that would be all the cards that would be from the base game. So everything you've seen so far would be stuff that you could find in the base game. Then we're going to open up this pack and look at what would be Kickstarter stuff. And I think when they sell the base game stuff, I think they sold it in like either the packs of Dusk and then the packs of Dawn. I'll have to double check that quick, but I think that's how they were selling them. There's like a pack of 3 decks and a pack of other 3 decks. Alright, so now what we're gonna get is we're gonna get bonus cards for a bunch of our characters. So for each deck. So we're gonna get 2 more rituals. The price of Pride for Thane's deck. Ooh. So it's gonna cost 0. So now what this is gonna do, if you throw these in there, it's gonna. I think there's 3 cards for each one, but it's also gonna adjust how many different acolytes and rituals you have. They're not necessarily even. So this one we have 2 rituals. To choose any unit to gain X attack or to the end of the turn, X is equal to your current energy. So it's kind of cool, getting extra quick bonus. And then we get 1 more other ritual, so Fury of the Tempest, which just lets us move an extra enemy. This one here also has a little dot in the corner, which means it was a player-created card. So what they did was they had contests going on during the Kickstarter, so that certain people could players could win or whatever and design cards. So they reworded them to be a little bit more. Here, I'll read the little text here. So it says, these are ritual and acolyte cards created and voted on by Board Game Geek community. They may have been slightly modified to only keep up to some of the wording, the rest of the cards in order to preserve the spirit of the game. People who created them have no access to the development of the game itself, so such cards can turn out to be really powerful. Community cards are identified by the dot in the bottom corner next to the card code. And that's just so that way if you don't want to play them cards, you don't have to, because they're going to be a little bit more powerful. Like that one's 1 cost moving, and that's also why there's only probably 1 of them. So now we're going to get. I gotta try and remember which symbols are which. So this is the Antar. We're gonna get 2 copies of the new Acolyte called Unconscious Grabbler. So all enemy units lose Veil. Ooh, that could be mean. And then the community card, we have the Sisterhood Collector. Cost 0, 1 attack, 1 health. Look at the top card of your deck and each enemy's exhausted. Look at the top card of the. Okay, let me restart this and actually read it all the way. Look at 1 card at the top of your deck of each enemy exhausted unit. Draw 1 of those cards and put the other into your deck, and then shuffle. Alright, after we read it, I think there's a misspelling on here. It says look at 1 card at the top of your deck. I think it's supposed to be 4 instead of each. I think it's supposed to be for each exhausted enemy unit. So the more they have exhausted, you get more cards you get to look at. And you get to draw 1. So basically the more exhausted. Alright, so then we have up next, we have, I think this is Ganto. Yep. So we have 2 Acolytes for Ganto. We have the Spirit of Inashtet. So deal 2 damage to 2 of your Sanctuaries. So more of the same with that. The community one is Groundskeeper Mystic. At the end of your turn, you may resolve twice instead of once the ability of 1 Sanctuary in this lane. Oh boy, that could be bad. Or really good. Depending on what you're doing. Then we have Crass here. 2 Acolytes for that. We have Smoldering Leech. Its death ability is your opponent discards a card. Oh, that's mean. There's not a lot of discarding card effects in this game. The community card is the Ritual Sacrifice of Soul. There's only 1 of this. You may sacrifice 1 of your acolytes. If you do, destroy an enemy acolyte at the same cost or less. And you want, that's fine. Kill your guys, you'll get them back. Here we have a Moorland. We have 2 acolytes for that. The Primeval Defender. Your Sanctuary in this lane loses all its abilities. He's powerful, so it's probably like the weakness of it. And then the Ritual, we get one of those. The Community, Revenge. Till the end of your next turn, each of your units gains one attack for each of your destroyed Sanctuaries. Ooh, that could be a nice comeback card. And then the last one we have should be Wool. Meticulous Scavenger. 2 Acolytes for this. Cannot be summoned unless at least 3 of your Acolytes have been placed in your discard pile from anywhere during this turn. But he's pretty powerful when it happens. And then we have the Community one. We have Ice Scryer. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Put any number of them in your discard pile and put the rest on top of your deck in any order. So it happens when he comes into play and when he dies, and it's helpful to get cards in there. Plus, you can stack your deck. That's doubly awesome. So those are like the extra promo cards. You get 3 extra cards in each deck. I'll probably just add them in anyhow. So some other cards we have for solo play. We get 3 of these node cards. Should be the same on the front and the back. And they're kind of like, you're like the enemy Sanctuaries, essentially. Then we are going to have new special cards. We have Avatars. Especially they can be played only in a campaign mode with a cost of 1 Essence Crystal. It represents the keeper presence of the game. So campaign mode is for solo play. Or possibly might just go to a regular campaign mode. I'm not for sure. But yeah, it can be improved by spending more points. So basically, you can spend points you've earned from winning games. Because I mentioned, yeah, solo or 1v1 campaign. So depending on which campaign, basically you get a special card that you can upgrade and make more powerful however you want. So it's kind of neat. So we're going to look at those guys quick. And they're kind of going to be themed on the colors, but since they don't have any ability, not going to have anything special. So you have the Radiant Lance. It looks like all of their ability things are the same. And it's just saying how many points it costs to get them. So you can spend 4 points to gain 2 extra attack points, 9 to gain an extra health, 2 for Veil, 5 for being an attacker, 5 for Reaper, and 11 to gain an extra thing, or 10 for some extra health. You have the Masked Wanderer. You can kind of see which groups these belong with. The Heir of the Mystics, the Elder Blossom. And I have Aura cards, which are, so there was only 5 of those. So there wasn't one necessarily for every single group. Was there 6? No, there was only 4. So there wasn't even one for every group, which is fine. Because it's either for solo or 2-on-2. Aura is a special card that empowers players on the battlefield. Only be played in campaign modes and also be approved. Aura can store essence crystals, so basically you play that, you can do stuff, you can store extra crystals on there to be used for other turns. So we just get 2 Aura cards, 1 for each team, or solo. Then finally we have Artifacts. Artifacts are secret treasures hidden inside the Sanctuaries. They provide new powers to units that can use them. There are 5 different artifacts. During the setup of each match, each player places behind each of the Sanctuaries one of the artifacts, freely arranging them. When Sanctuaries attack and there's an artifact behind it, the Sanctuary gets damaged and the attacking unit gains the artifact. When the unit gains an artifact, place that one behind that unit. When an artifact comes into play, place 1 life token on it. When an artifact attacks a unit, provides a special ability. When the artifact attached is destroyed, when the unit is destroyed, the artifact, if it had a life token on it, remove the life token and leave it in place the same place. On the contrary, if that artifact has no life tokens, when the attachment is destroyed, remove the artifact from the game and put it back in the box. When a unit comes into play where there's an artifact, okay, so that's kind of interesting. So you get to play 1 down, and then if they fight you, they get to gain it. So let's look at those quick. So we're going to have 2 copies of the Sword of Salvalar. Unit gains 2 attack. 2 copies of the Dragon Staff. At the beginning of your turn, you deal 1 damage to a unit. 2 copies of Ring of Swiftness. At the end of your turn, move this unit. 2 Orbs of Illusion. At the end of your turn, you may exhaust an enemy unit in the attack position on a lane different from this one. And 2 copies of the Tome of Foresight. I don't know why they only made 5 and not 6. They should have made 1 for each group. But that's, to each their own, I guess. At the beginning of the turn, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put them on the top or bottom in any order. And then the final 2 cards we get are just blank cards, which you can use to make your own acolytes or champions or whatever you would like to make with them. So that is the final cards we got. And that would be everything we have. So, yep, just then the other things I had, just to kind of review what this sheet went over that came with it, was Avatar's Auras. We have a solo campaign mode, explains how to play all that. Or if we want to do a 1v1, how to do that, different win conditions. 2v2 mode, if you want to play that, it'd be kind of fun. Deck building options. And what artifacts are, echo, and community cards. Otherwise, yeah, all the rest of it was the 6 different decks, the bonus cards, the extra maps, all that fun stuff. So, yeah, and then I just did a really quick look, is if you bought this now as a Kickstarter, they look like they have it separated, like I said, in the 2 big boxes are going to contain the 3 decks for either the Dawn side, which are the white ones, or the Dusk side, which are the black decks. And then you're going to get a bunch of the tokens and stuff. The only thing you're going to get by buying them separate versus, like, if you bought them like a big box like this, is they come with little dividers, but they also come shoved into one giant box. Where this, you get separate little boxes for each one, which is kind of nice. Especially if they make expansions and they don't just add new factions, but they add more cards for each one of these. Like maybe they add another little deck or other things to swap in and out, which would be really cool. Then at least you can just add them into these deck boxes and be good. Like I'm going to go with the Kickstarter stuff. Alright, so that was Sanctuary, the Keeper's Era. So you can check that one out. They also, like I said, they have their other one, which is the Wolfarion Guild, which is a sequel to just a regular Wolfarion. So it's like, it's an old backers. So if you back that game, you're interested, maybe check this out. Because it looks like lots of similar elements, but it's a different game. But you get a deck of cards, there's a little dragon miniature you can get. But that's their other game, and that was from Tabula Pulse. So check them out. If you want to see some more of their stuff, definitely a cool looking game. Can't wait to try it. See you guys later. Bye.